G'day, ZiggyD here. It's the day before the 1 week Path of Exile race, and in this video I want to talk a bit about my plans and preparations for the 1 week race as kind of a day zero update. My plan for content over the next coming week is going to be pretty much exclusively focused on this 1 week race. It's a pretty big event and I'm going to be trying to do it pretty sort of hardcore, trying to get really into it, get a lot of cool experiences out of it and a lot of cool stuff to share with you. So I'm going to be doing these daily updates and maybe any extra videos of cool tips and things like that I learn. I just want to share my experiences with you, and you guys can either follow along as you're doing the 1 week race yourself and learn some cool stuff from that, or you can use this as kind of something to refer back to when another 1 week race happens in the future. Now, let's talk a bit about the 1 week races in general. These were pretty popular in closed and open beta, and they were very, very competitive. A lot of different streamers and a lot of just hardcore players were playing these 1 week races, trying to push and see how hard they could do. Now, there's something like 168 hours in a 1 week race, and people were doing 120 hours plus on these races. So they're definitely races to get like the top sort of 20 and stuff like that. These are definitely races of not only who can, well, it is part of who can play the most. If you can't dedicate that amount of time to it, you're not going to be able to be competitive. But the really good players were able to use their time much more efficiently as well and do much, much better. And there was some really cool, intense moments. I've done some 1 week races casually, but this is going to be the first one I'm doing really seriously. So let's talk about this 1 week race specifically. And I can switch over if we go, bam, here we go. And I actually recorded this video earlier, to be honest, and I forgot to switch over between facecam and that, and I was like showing off my build and stuff, and you guys couldn't see it, so we're redoing the video here. Pretty hilarious stuff. But here's the 1 week race, the Nemesis 1 week race. Now, it's called the Nemesis 1 week race because it's parented to the Nemesis League. Now, in the past, these races were usually parented to the Hardcore League, so at the end of the 1 week race, everything rolled back into Hardcore. This time around, everything's going to roll back into Nemesis, which is really, really cool, and I know a lot of people that play Nemesis pretty exclusively at the moment are very keen about that. Now, as usual, if you die because this is a Hardcore League, your character will go back to standard from this. So pretty normal stuff there. Now, the idea of the 1 week race is that it starts, in 20 hours, as you can see. Everyone starts at the exact same time and everyone finishes at the exact same time 1 week later, and it's just about who can get the highest level in that time. But that's the core goal of the actual race itself. But you can have any sort of goal you want. You could be focused on just seeing how far you can get personally, and sure, there's rewards for the top people, but these are just the demigod's touches. They're unique items that are kind of just collector items. They don't actually have any impact in game. They're not good items to use at all, and I don't really think that these races are about the rewards so much. There's no points or anything like that to go to your overall points score for the season or anything like that. I think it's more just about competing with yourself, with your friends, and just seeing how well you can do. But there's a lot of other goals you can have as well. But let's first talk about a bit more about this race specifically. As you can see, Rare Masters each have a Nemesis mod, since it's parented to the Nemesis League. That's pretty obvious. But we also get the shrines from Domination. Now, this is really, really cool because the Nemesis mods themselves brought with them a ton of extra ways for your character to die. There was people dying to Corrupted Blood, people dying to Storm Heralds, people dying to Fractured Devourers, shotgunning them with all of their fireball attacks. Lots of extra ways to die with Nemesis mods. Domination shrines, same sort of deal. There's perma-crit shrines, there's lots of extra dangerous things. There's big clusters of mobs around these shrines, lots of extra things to deal with there. Putting these two things together means we're going to have some really interesting and deadly interactions that we probably can't even really think about yet. Think about this, like something like running into a Stormcaller mob. So this is a Storm Herald, sorry, and they're doing all their lightning thing. These guys are usually pretty dangerous, lots of people have died to them, but what if they're standing next to a Diamond Shrine? 100% chance to crit. Is the Storm Herald going to crit you? We don't know. There's a lot of extra things that can happen here. And getting like a rare monster near a Domination Shrine is going to be pretty brutal. And I think it's going to be super interesting. I'm sure Chris Wilson is super pleased at how deadly this 1 week race is going to be. And we're going to be seeing full party wipes a lot of the time. I'm 100% sure this is going to be pretty epic. And I'm pretty excited for that. So, let's talk about preparing for this race and what your goals might be in this race, and we'll talk a bit about my goals as well. Now obviously there's the top 20 players get 2 demigod touches, and the 20 runners up after that get 1 demigod's touch each as well. If you want to be super competitive like that, that is certainly the core goal of the race, is to try and get those top 20, top 40 spots. And to do so, you need to form a really solid team, you need to dedicate the time to it, you need to play super efficiently and push as hard as you can into the endgame map system to try and accrue as much XP as possible. You need to invest everything you get in this race and everything of yourself, your person, into this to try and do this, and that's going to be a pretty awesome competitive experience if you're going for that. Otherwise, you can just be focusing on trying to see how well and how far you can do, testing a new build, use it as an opportunity to re-roll a new build, completely self-found at the beginning. Since it's a new league, you won't have any existing currency. You can get this sort of pure and fresh experience to re-roll this new character, and to also challenge yourself to see how far you can get in a hardcore setting with the extra mods. You know, we're getting the domination shrines in addition to the Nemesis, so at the very least, this is a chance for you to jump in if you've been a Nemesis player and try out the domination shrines, or maybe if you've been a domination player, to get in and try out the Nemesis mods as well, in a sort of just like a, you know, a casual sort of 1 week race setting for yourself, and that's pretty cool in itself. There's other people who are going to have other goals. I know a lot of people that use this as an opportunity to make a lot of currency for their core league. So maybe there'll be Nemesis players coming into this and trying to find arbitrage opportunities between the leagues. So we think about this in a 1 week race. Most people's goal is to try and get their characters as far as possible. This means sinking a lot of map currency into maps, and that means these things are in very high demand, whereas other things like endgame item crafting and things like that are in less of a demand compared to the long-term leagues. People aren't trying to make massively epic long-term builds, you know, that they've been spending months working on it, because it's only going to be around for a week. So they're in lesser demand. The exchange rates in these sorts of leagues are different, and people like to take advantage of this. I've spoken to a few people that do things like this, and they try and make as much currency as they can and take it back to Nemesis at the end of the league. And that's a pretty cool thing. I can certainly see the fun in doing something like that, recognizing these opportunities and just sort of having a lot of fun trading and flipping items and things like that. My personal goal for this is going to be to push as hard as I can, see how far I can get, but also to use this as an opportunity just to have a lot of fun trading in a new league. At the start of Nemesis, some of the most fun I had was when I got into doing piety runs pretty early, maybe top several hundred people doing piety farming, and I was running a shop, and just so much gear was selling then. So many of my drops were really good to everyone else trying to level up, and I'm really excited to get into that as well. I'm going to try and push as hard as I can and do a lot of trading, going to run a shop thread, and do all of that sort of stuff. So part of my preparation, and we'll make sure I switch cameras this time around, has been to update to the newest Procurement. Yes, I'll link this in the description below, but Procurement is an application that allows you to scan your stash. Basically, you can just dump everything into stash tabs like this. This is my Nemesis stash here, and then basically you can go to trading here and you can select the ones you want, and then you can just copy and paste the code into your forum shop thread, and this will be perfectly indexed, and everything will be set up there for basically for POE.xyz to find it. You can even add buyouts and things like that in it now, I'm pretty sure, and it just makes it so much easier. You can actually do this while you're playing, so I'll just have this scan my stuff whenever I do a big update. Whenever I get a heap of new gear, I'll just update this and update my shop thread, and it's going to be pretty fun doing a lot of farming and selling a lot of gear, doing lots of bro deals. So make sure to keep an eye out for my shop thread in the 1 week race if you're going to be participating in it, because there's going to be some sweet loot in there. That's my plan, and that's going to be what's most fun for me, is trying to push pretty hard to get to endgame nice and early, and to be one of those sort of first people with the best gear for everyone to come to and buy, and I'm going to have a lot of fun doing that. So that's going to be my main goal, and I'll be sharing my experiences with you, and hopefully lots of cool trading tips and things like that will come your way. But lots to look forward to there. So there you go, you can get Procurement from there. I'll link that in the description below. Now, what else can you do to prepare? Let's switch back to Facecam for a minute. This is a 1 week race. This means a lot of time dedicated to it. This means you want to min-max as much as possible how much time you can spend in-game and not doing other things during this 1 week race. So that means informing your loved ones, like I've informed Amy, that you're going to be AFK from real life for quite a long time. At least this is the first few days. It's going to be pretty serious. I'm just not going to be there. So we've lined up Amy with plenty of new video games and stuff like that. Go out, if you have a partner, go out and buy them a new TV show they've been wanting, or a new game for them to play, or something like that. And buy yourself some time, because you are going to be needing a lot of it. This also means preparing a lot of food in advance. I've been cooking lots of food today, and I'm going to try and get lots of stuff ready to go for that, so I don't have to spend too much time cooking during the actual race. And shave, cut your hair, wash your clothes, have all your clothes lined out so you can just like wake up, put on these clothes that you've already got out for yourself. Whatever you can do to prepare, try and do it in advance, because this will be the way to get the most out of this sort of race situation. And then, of course, something I'm sure you guys are keen to see, we switch back over here, is planning of a build. Of course, you can't really do much unless you have some form of build plan. I don't think winging it in a 1 week race would be a very good idea. Now, I mentioned I had a few ideas, and I was planning on going with a Rain of Arrows build. My original idea was to actually take someone else's already proven and tried Rain of Arrows build, and I was thinking either Gangsta Boo's or Hellman's build, but I actually couldn't find any updated versions of their builds, and they were a little bit out of date, the things I did find. So I kind of went around to a bunch of different Rain of Arrows builds. There wasn't really too many that are current, so I just took some ideas and I've actually created my own Rain of Arrows build, which of course I'll link this down in the description below. I know a lot of you guys like to follow along with my various builds, but as always, this will be changing a lot as I play it, so use at your own risk, and be aware, especially over the first day while I'm leveling. I'll probably change things a lot depending on what I feel like I actually need, especially because this is such an unknown and such a different sort of league as well, with both the Nemesis and Domination mods. But basically my idea is to play Rain of Arrows. That's going to be both my single target and AoE attack as well. Rain of Arrows was a really popular staple skill for a lot of bow builds. Back in beta, it's kind of less common now. I actually saw some comments when I mentioned that I might play Rain of Arrows, and people were like, oh cool, it's cool to see something not cookie cutter, which just blows my mind because this was so cookie cutter back in the day. But nowadays it's a little bit alternative because I think a lot of people are playing different builds. But that's cool. I'm keen to bring something back in fashion maybe, and we're going to be doing that. So this means getting things like projectile speed, which reduces the delay of Rain of Arrows. Lots of interesting things to do with Rain of Arrows. I'm going to be running Hatred and Grey, so I'll be using Iron Reflexes down here to convert, to get lots of armor. We're going to have tons of life. This build has something like 264% life, and we get that from here, we get that from here, we get this from the sick life wheel here. We get some up here as well, and some down in the Templar area. We're a physical based build, so that means I get the heavy draw cluster, which also has life, as well as Fury bolts, these ones up here, Aspect of the Eagle, and the bow damage here, and also Iron Grip to convert our whopping 264 strength from the passive tree alone into extra damage there. We also get some more life, and we get life leech from the passive tree as well, and some physical damage. We basically get at endgame we'll be getting really high fizz damage bow, and then converting the damage to elemental damage to get extra damage on top of that, and scaling it that way. And that's the best way to scale Rain of Arrows at endgame currently. You can use elemental bows and things for leveling, but at endgame we want to focus on fizz, so I'll sort of just be winging it as I go. We'll be using Resolute Technique. Rain of Arrows, actually, if you go back and look at old builds, it actually used to have Resolute Technique built into it, basically. It could crit, but it would never miss because it was considered kind of an AoE skill. But that was actually changed a while back, so you do actually need Resolute Technique in Rain of Arrows builds now, until you get a Lionized Glare. Good thing about this build is we only use Rain of Arrows. We'll probably use Frenzy on a 4-link, but that's only to generate Frenzy charges. We won't really use it as a single target. Rain of Arrows itself will be our single target and AoE ability, so this means we can just use a 5 or 6 link chest, and we can actually get a pretty relatively cheap Lionized Glare that isn't linked, and actually use that. We don't need to get a 5 or 6 link Lionized Glare, which is like super expensive, so I'm pretty happy about that. This build we'll be able to sink a fair bit of currency into it, and I'll definitely do so to push myself, because I want to try and get into endgame maps, and I want to try and push the build as well. But I'll be able to sort of just keep some currency for trading. which will be pretty fun. But as I said, I'll link this in the description below. It's all pretty standard, really. It has a lot of similarities with my Lightning Arrow beginners build, but obviously there's quite a few stylistic differences and quite a few things we choose to do to optimize it for Rain of Arrows as well. It's also not like a pure blood magic build. Oops, I accidentally unallocated something there. We might use blood magic a while for leveling, but it's probably going to use the blood magic support gems along with auras to scale its damage rather than you being a pure blood magic build. So I think this will work pretty well. I'm keen to give it a go. I've got my Emerald Green Rain of Arrows cosmetic effect already purchased. I got it on sale the other day for 10 points. That was pretty sweet. And I've got some other cool green stuff to go on my character. So that's always important to make sure you're looking ravishing as you're playing Path of Exile. Because we all know that action RPGs are just dress-ups for men. So anyway, Amy's cracking up at me. So that's my plans. This is my day 0 update. Look forward to lots of content coming up for this 1 week race. Hopefully I don't like rip on day 2 or something like that. If I rip on day 1 or 2, I'll probably re-roll, but it's going to put me behind a lot on my whole trading idea. But hopefully I can do well. I've got a pretty cool team lined up. I'll probably be playing with Duked, Colby Cheese, and a few other guys that I know have done 1 week races before but I don't know personally, and maybe also Martin Creek as well. I haven't spoken to him fully yet about it, but pretty cool group of guys lined up, and I'll be bringing you guys any highlights and whatever tips and experiences I have, I'll share with you guys. So I'm really excited for it. I'm pretty hyped, and as you can probably tell by all the preparation and stuff I've been doing. Anyway, shame I can't stream. Hopefully, we'll be able to find a house soon and I can start streaming. We're starting to apply for houses again tomorrow, so hopefully we can get one soon and I can start streaming things like this, because that'd be the way to go. But anyway, we'll stick with this for now. And that's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.